From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is The Hub with Wang Guan.
Hello and welcome to The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Tech features and gadgets will be all over the place in sports venues, infrastructure, and transportation at the upcoming Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. The Games will be the dream platform to showcase China's latest high-tech innovations and next-generation systems. And you will see how they perform before your very own eyes in just a few days. Take ice rinks, for example. Natural CO2 refrigeration systems will decrease the overall carbon footprint. Here is a visual breakdown.
For Beijing 2022, there will be 8 competition in non-competition ice venues with 9 pieces of ice. The National Speed Skating Oval will use carbon dioxide as a refrigerant as part of our efforts to protect the environment.
Most refrigerants on the market contribute to the greenhouse effects and are detrimental to the ozone layer. On the other hand, carbon dioxide is a natural and green refrigerant that is friendly to the environment. Liquid carbon dioxide absorbs heat as it evaporates, making refrigeration and ice making possible. When it releases heat, we could recycle the heat.
This is the first time that carbon dioxide is used in such a big multi-purpose in Olympic events skating venue. In China, a lot of research has been done in this area, so we have confidence in applying this technology in Olympic venues.
During the Olympics, carbon dioxide refrigeration could help us make a rink. It helps the most even temperature across the ice. The heat recovery system will save 2 million kilowatt-hours of electricity every year.
The IOC has been implementing Olympic Agenda 2020. Using carbon dioxide as a refrigerant for our ice rinks is sending a strong signal that China is committed to protecting planet Earth, our shared goal. We are doing our part in the endeavor.
Joining me today are Ilario Corna, Chief Information Officer of the International Olympic Committee. Mr. Corna is currently in Beijing and has been invited to attend the Games. Also in Beijing, we have Weicheng, Professor at Tsinghua University and academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering. He is the leading scientist in charge of the so-called high-tech programs for the 2022 Winter Games. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Dong Jun is sports commentator. Welcome, gentlemen. From transportation to the Olympic venues, high-tech is everywhere. For that, let me turn to Professor Fan. Can you tell us some specifics about all these technology programs, technical programs that the Beijing Games has to offer?
Facing the major technical needs of the Beijing Winter Olympics, the Ministry of Science and Technology, together with the Beijing Winter Olympic Organizing Committee, the General Administration of Sports, and the local governments of Beijing and the Hebei province, set up a special program of the science and technology for Winter Olympics. The special program mainly focused on the 5 aspects, including scientific preparation and running the Olympics, sports science and technology, smart watching of competition, safety and security, and then comprehensive demonstration of the green and the wisdom development.
Yeah, I mean, they all sounds very good. I heard, the recuperation centers for athletes are very exciting. The technology to chill the ice are state of the art, and also the COVID prevention robots over there. What are some of the breakthroughs that you think Beijing has to offer that previous games perhaps have not been able to achieve?
Actually, there are several aspects. Firstly, the planning, design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the venues. For example, scientific and technical innovation strongly supports the renewal and the reconstruction of existing venues, such as the intelligent burst nets and the ice and the water conversion of the water cube. It has successfully retained the heritage of the 2 Olympic Games and effectively solve the long-term operation problems of large venues. Another example is that the design of the National Skiing Jumping Center is inspired by the Chinese traditional mascot Ru Yi. I can show you the picture. This is a traditional Chinese mascot Ru Yi. Then this is a ski jumping center.
That's in Zhangjiakou, right? In Zhangbei, right?
Yeah. So now we call the snow Ru Yi. And also there are some other aspects, such as achieve the resolution of the meteorological forecast at the level of 100 meters in space and the minutes in time as the special venues.
Let's talk about some other aspects of the high-tech Olympics. Let's turn to Mr. Corna, Chief Information Officer of the International Olympic Committee. Mr. Corna, great to have you with us. We know that in Rio 2016, cloud broadcasting came up as a great, concept. And at the Tokyo 2020 Games, because of COVID and travel restrictions, not a whole lot of fans were allowed inside the stadium. So OBS partnered with the Alibaba Cloud and brought us this OBS Cloud. And for the upcoming Beijing Games, it is, set to be, a game of Cloud Olympics. Can you tell us some specifics? I mean, how exactly are we going to see a Cloud Olympics?
Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for inviting me. You are absolutely correct. Digitization has been a key trend for also the Olympic Games. Everything touching games is being transformed, from technology, how our fans interact with us, to how we perform sports and how we actually produce the sports in the sports venue. And it's going through a major transformation. And as you correctly said, we are very lucky, and to help us fast track this technology, we have our Olympic cloud service provider Alibaba helping us, and especially also for the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022. Thanks to Alibaba Cloud Technology, as you correctly said, we actually implemented OBS Cloud, or Olympic Broadcast Services Cloud, for all of our Olympic partners. And we are able to carry out significant part of all of our production and the production seen worldwide in the cloud. That means that, for example, our international broadcasting centers from Rio to Tokyo was minimized by 30%. And actually, we had also less broadcasters come on site because they were able to do the production from their own base, from their headquarters. This makes major savings for Olympics broadcasters and for the Olympic Games. So this is fantastic technology. But we have not stopped here. We actually are going to bring more technology based also on cloud. One of them will be also the fully hosted press conferences. All of the press conferences that you will see from the Olympics Games will be hosted in Alibaba Cloud, and all of the broadcasters will be able to watch or on the live or on demand all of these press conferences.
You're watching The Hub on CGTN. We'll come back after a short break. Welcome back. Today we look at how technology makes the upcoming Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics smarter, greener, and safer. Let's turn to Mr. Corna, Chief Information Officer of the International Olympic Committee. All the press conferences will be conducted virtually, or at least partially using the Alibaba Cloud. That would be a first.
Correct. And in addition to that, I'm sure you remember in Tokyo when there was the 100-meter final, and I hope I pronounced his name right, Bing Tiansu was also part of the 100-meter final, and where we brought 3D athletes technology. Also, that was the first on Alibaba Cloud, and with our other top partner Intel, to be able to enhance with artificial intelligence and really see how an athletes perform. So we are expecting to bring more innovation like that.
Because in a tight race like 100-meter dash or 200-meter butterfly in swimming, 1/10 of a second or 1/100th of a second can decide the race, and that could be the case with speed skating, for example, right?
Correct. And there it is where we are extremely fortunate to have and to count on our official timekeepers, Omega. And they've been involved in the Olympic Games. Actually, in Beijing, it will be 90 years they'll be involved with the Olympic Games, and we are extremely fortunate to have them as a partner. And for the Omega, for the Beijing operation, they are going to have here in Beijing over 300 timekeepers. They're going to ship, they've shipped because it's already here. It's already in the venues. We have 200 tons of material that made their way. And on top of it, we are going to take as advantage of 350 local volunteers that will make sure that timekeeping will be done correctly. We are also, as you say, bringing some innovation on that. And for example, there will be the very famous Scanovision Mira, where it takes 10,000 pictures a second to make sure that we have extremely accurate results.
It is the hope of many that all these technology will make the games even more fantastic to watch. Paul, you've been writing, commenting, and getting very actively involved in many previous Olympics over the past decades. You were the official commentator, right, for the 2008 Beijing Olympics?
Summer Games in
the
Beijing.
Official commentator. What does that mean?
I feel so lucky to be, born and raised in this city. The very first one to ever host the summer, both the summer and the Winter Games now, although we're 13 and a half years apart. But when you talk about technologies, it very immediately reminded me of what I experienced during 2008. I spent most of my time at the beach volleyball venue in
Chaoyang Park.
Yeah, the nature of beach volleyball is that according to the regulations, no matter what happens to the weather, the competition continues. So we really had some very heavy downpour rains, but the players need to keep playing. And we together, I was a commentator, official commentator, and together with all the other staff, volunteers, we keep digging the tiny channels to let the water out of the court. So, but when it comes to Winter Games, I understand that it can be even more sensitive to weather changes. I understand the new technologies installed in Yanqing and also Zhangjiakou, Chongli, will be monitoring the weather changes with much more advanced technologies, because the weather changes and even the temperatures steep drop will change the quality of the snow surface, which will affect the performance and even safety of the athletes. And such monitoring and results, timely reporting to the organizers will help them to adapt, adjust, or make some very tough decisions, whether the competition should go ahead or they need to change the timetable a little bit. So I really admire this advancement in technologies on the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, the weather could make such a big impact on winter sport, because it looks to me, for example, Eileen Gu is an all-weather champion, even with a broken hand or wrist.
Because if the weather is too cold, then the snow will be, too crispy and hard, and that will be very slippery, and that will affect the performance of the athlete.
What are some of the other aspects of the high-tech Winter Games that struck you personally?
Well, I will be staying out of the loop, of course, the closed loop.
Yeah.
But we'll be worried about, a little concerned about those who will be staying inside the loop. And I understand there are some, temperature or monitoring or even more advanced system to without touching the athletes and also those participants inside the loop, without touching them, and they would build a very initial general idea of the condition, the body condition,
fitness condition, health condition.
Even more advanced than that, even more sophisticated than the pure temperature, and maybe with the similar to PCR test.
What about their privacy? Would that be a concern? Their privacy?
Well, that will be made sure jointly by the IOC and by the IFs, the international federations, and also those delegations together with the host cities.
Professor Fan, you're leading this panel of scientists in creating many of the exciting projects for the high-tech Winter Games. What was it like, working under stress, working across departments and agencies to deliver these programs? What have been some of the hurdles and challenges?
How to select the team to study all the problems we are facing. This is important. Actually, there are some strict rules for our conduct the whole process. According to the implementation scheme of the program, and also follow the principle of the demand and the problem orientation, we set up the guideline for application, and then the applications are solicited nationwide. Then expert review are conducted in accordance with the open rules. And then research teams are selected by the ballot of the working group and the expert group. Then finally, when the project is completed, it should be accepted by the expert group. So we call the scientific management for the whole process.
We'll take another short break and come back to check out more high-tech features in the upcoming Olympics. Okay, so Mr. Corna, so out of all these technologies, people are asking this question: how will the legacy of the high-tech Olympics be defined? I mean, how can average citizens, average folks, going forward, enjoy some of these very cool and very exciting technologies, when the Winter Olympics are done? What will be your answer to that?
What you will see and the normal people will enjoy is that we'll bring forward how games will be consumed from a digital perspective, and bring this innovation will hopefully change the way that we consume it from our laptops to our mobile phones. So it will be extremely something that we will see for the years to come, how Beijing really changed the way that we consume these winter sports.
Professor Fan, what do you think? I mean, of all the new technologies showcased by these games, which ones could benefit people and be applied in their daily lives once the Olympics are over?
Okay, there are some more examples. One more example is research to develop the technology, equipment, and the clothing of the ice and snow sports, such as snowmobile, skis, snow and ice machines, and the high-performance winter sport clothing with the characteristics of fast, protection, warm, and beauty. All these clothes will be used in the Winter Olympics. So this is one example. Then another one is we study and develop some new technology on television and the media, such as the 5G broadband communication plus 8K image. Also, cloud broadcasting platform, VR computation watching, the intelligent voice service, and so on. Under the pandemic situation, through high-level broadcasting technology, more audience will get the better feeling of the charm of the winter sports.
Mm-hmm. Paul, what do you hope to be some of the lasting legacies of the Winter Olympics?
Well, my ideal is, if you allow me to be a little philosophical.
Go ahead.
We need to make sure that it's more like, before you got a ticket and you enter into the cinema, the theater to watch Avatar, you understand will be a revolutionary experience. Put on your 3 glasses to watch the max visual effects of Avatar. But once you sit in the theater, you know that you need a fantastic story. You need marvelous performance by the actors, those star actors. You don't want technologies to interfere into their performances. So I think we should be prepared as the Olympics are approaching us. We need to make sure that technologies will play their role, of course, but their performance, however big award they will eventually be winning, we will let the real stars the major roles to play their roles in Beijing. The athletes, the coaches, they are the heroes and heroines in our Olympics. And at the end of it, Beijing 2022 may be remembered even more for the technological advancements than the athletes' performance. But we need to make sure that most of the technologies will go unnoticed, and they just feel very safe and secure, and the audiences will benefit from the advancement, the conveniences of enjoying very different Winter Olympics. But at the same time, let's pray for their performance and the story to go well first.
I agree 120%, Paul. Let the games begin, and also it's all about the athletes. Finally, I really want to ask, what would be the one thing that you look forward to seeing the most in the upcoming Beijing Games? Mr. Corna.
I think that the Olympic Games are the world's most powerful symbol of unity and diversity. And I think that this will be a fantastic Games. Beijing is ready, so I'm looking forward to the entire Games. I think it will be a fantastic, event. And lastly, if I can, I would like to thank you, all of you, and all of the population as well for the warm welcome and the hospitality.
Thank you all so very much, Mr. Corna, Professor Pan, and Paul Dong. That's all the time we have. I want to thank our panelists once again for sharing all the unique characteristics of the spectacular event we're about to see. If you have any comments or suggestions about our show, feel free to contact me on social media. Thanks for joining us. I'm Wang Guan. Our news coverage continues at CGTN. Bye for now.